My story, and why yours is the one that matters. December 3, 1999, life was good. No, it was great. At 20 years old, my first year of college was behind me. I had spent the last 18 months becoming one of the top producing distributors for a $200 million marketing company, earning more money than I had ever imagined I would be at that age. I had a loving girlfriend, a supportive family, and the best friends a guy could ask for. I was truly blessed. You might say I was on top of the world. There was no way I could have known that this was the night my world would end. 11:32 p.m. driving 70 mph southbound on Highway 99, we'd left the restaurant, and our friends, behind. It was just the two of us now. My girlfriend, tired from the evening's events, was dozing in the passenger seat. Not me. I was wide awake, eyes glued to the road in front, waving my finger in the air like a baton as I quietly conducted the melodies of Tchaikovsky. Still in a state of euphoria from the night's events, sleep was the furthest thing from my mind. Rocketing down the freeway at 70 miles per hour in my brand new white Ford Mustang, I was only 2 hours removed from giving the best speech of my life. I had received my first standing ovation, and I was elated. In fact, I desperately wanted to shout out my feelings of gratitude to anyone that would listen, but my girlfriend was asleep, so she was no use. I considered calling mom and dad, but it was late, they might already be in bed. But I simply had no way of knowing that moment would be my last opportunity to speak to my parents, or anyone, for quite some time. An unimaginable reality. No, I don't recall seeing the headlights of a massive Chevrolet truck coming directly at me. In an instant of perverse fate, the full-size Chevy pickup, traveling at an estimated 80 miles per hour, smashed head-on into my undersized and undermatched Ford Mustang. The following seconds played out in slow motion, Tchaikovsky's commanding melodies orchestrating our wicked dance. The metal frames of our two vehicles collided, screaming and screeching as they twisted and broke. The Mustang's airbags exploded with enough force to render us unconscious. My brain, still traveling at 70 miles per hour, smashed into the front of my skull, destroying much of the vital brain tissue that made up my frontal lobe. Upon impact, the tail end of my Mustang was shoved into the lane on my right, making my driver's side door an unavoidable target for the car behind me. A Saturn sedan, driven by a 16-year-old, crashed into my door at 70 miles per hour. The door collapsed into the left side of my body. The frame of the metal roof caved in on my head, slicing open my skull and nearly severing my left ear. The bones of my left eye socket were crushed, leaving my left eyeball dangerously unsupported. My left arm broke, severing the radial nerve in my forearm and shattering my elbow, while my fractured humerus bone pierced the skin behind my bicep. My pelvis was given the impossible task of separating the Saturn's front end from my car's center console, and failed. It fractured in 3 separate places. Finally, my femur, the largest bone in the human body, snapped in half, and one end speared through the skin of my thigh and tore a hole in my black dress slacks. Blood was everywhere. My body was destroyed. My brain was permanently damaged, unable to withstand the immense physical pain. My body shut down, my blood pressure dropped, and everything went black as I plunged into a coma. You only live twice. What happened next was nothing short of incredible, what many have called a miracle. The emergency rescue teams arrived, and, using the jaws of life, firefighters cut my bloody body from the wreckage. When they did, I bled out. My heart stopped beating. I stopped breathing. Clinically, I was dead. The paramedics immediately put me on the rescue helicopter and worked determinedly to save my life. 6 minutes later, they succeeded. My heart started to beat again. I breathed clean oxygen. Thankfully, I was alive. I spent 6 days in a coma, and woke to the news that I might never walk again. After 7 challenging weeks of recovery and rehabilitation in the hospital, learning to walk all over again, I was released to my parents' care, back into the real world. With 11 fractured bones, permanent brain damage, and a now ex-girlfriend who broke up with me in the hospital, life as I knew it would never be the same. Believe it or not, this would turn out to be a good thing. While coming to grips with my new reality wasn't easy, and at times I couldn't help but wonder, why did this happen to me? I had to take responsibility for getting my life back. Instead of complaining about how things should be, I embraced how things were. I stopped putting energy into wishing my life were any different, into wishing bad things didn't happen to me, and instead focused 100% on making the best of what I had. Since I couldn't change the past, I focused on moving forward. I dedicated my life to fulfilling my potential and achieving my dreams so I could discover how to empower others to do the same. And, as a result of choosing to be genuinely grateful for all that I had, unconditionally accepting of all that I didn't, and accepting total responsibility for creating all that I wanted, this potentially devastating car accident ultimately became one of the best things that ever happened to me. Hinging on my belief that everything happens for a reason, but that it is our responsibility to choose the most empowering reasons for the challenges, events and circumstances of our lives, I used my accident to fuel a triumphant comeback. 2000, a year that begins with me lying in a hospital bed, broken, but not defeated, ends quite differently. Despite not having a car, even less of a short-term memory, equipped with every excuse in the world to sit at home and feel sorry for myself, I returned to my sales position at Cutco. I had the best year in my career, and finished as 6th in the company, amongst over 60,000 active sales reps. All this, while still recovering, physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially, from my wreck, 2001, having learned some invaluable life lessons from my experience, it was time to turn my adversity into inspiration and empowerment for others. I started speaking and sharing my story at high schools and colleges. The responses from students and faculty were overwhelmingly positive, and I embarked on a mission to impact youth. 2002, my good friend, John Berghoff, encouraged me to write a book about my accident, to further inspire others. So, I started writing. As quickly as I started, I stopped. I'm no writer. Essays in high school were challenging enough, let alone a book. After repeated attempts that always ended with me staring at my computer screen, frustrated, it didn't look like a book was in the cards. I did, however, finish in Cutco's top 10 for the 2nd year in a row. 2004, to try my hand at management, I accepted the position as sales manager for the Sacramento Cutco office. Our team went on to finish as 1st in the company and break the all-time annual record. That fall, I also reached my highest personal sales milestone and was inducted into the company's Hall of Fame. Feeling that I'd accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish with Cutco, it was time to pursue my dream of becoming a professional keynote or motivational speaker. I might even write that book that had been swimming around in my head the last couple of years. I also met Ursula. We were inseparable, and I had this feeling that she could be the one.